Yeah. So decentralization, 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. This democratic decentralization is a process of what? It's democratic decentralization. So decentralization means if it has not been centralized anymore, the powers have been devolved or powers have been divided among the other participants, like states will come into picture or local self-governments will come into picture, or the grassroots level governments like local self-government or municipal councils or notified areas, all such things will come into account. So this democratic decentralization is devolving authority, functions, and resources from the center to the elected representatives at the lower level. So what are these lower level? We have already discussed about lower levels of state administration, but still devolved to be into the functions or the units of grassroots level institutions. So what are these grassroots level institutions? Panchayat Raj institution, municipal councils. So this has been done to facilitate the proper implementation, to facilitate that the voices of the grassroots could be heard properly. So this and the citizens will be included in the participation. So that is the main reason for the decentralization process. Then decision making, implementation, monitoring, and sharing benefits are some of the functions of that have been into or looked after through this decentralization process. Then India cannot be only run through these two tiers. Some states are larger in population. So what is the need for this decentralization in India? Because this is just two-tier system. So what is two-tier system in India? Two-tier system is center and the state. So this two-tier system cannot function as such. So this shall be addressed more so that the participation of the citizens could be addressed, or citizens will be involved in governance. Citizens' participation will be higher, and the citizen-centric policies could be addressed. This governance or the governance through citizens' participation will have this political authorities to be more acting more responsible, okay, towards the policy making and policy implementations. So India can not run through this two-tier system. Some states are larger in population. So for this purpose, they have devolved further decentralized this democratic functions. For what? To problems and issues which can be best settled at the local level. So that the burden also can be decreased on the state or the center, where they can have this time devolved through much more of the policy making processes, so that this grassroots level issues could be solved at the grassroots itself. Next, how did we end up having this three-tier system? So three-tier system, it is a study and analysis of nature or the origin and functions of Panchayat Raj system, PRIs, and municipal councils, or the basically we can call grassroots level institutions. So what are grassroots level institutions? Panchayat Raj institution and municipal council. So it provides a framework for understanding political system and exercise of power. So this chapter basically help us understand how this political system, power, and the transformation have happened over a period. How this is not just a, what do we call it? Um, not just that it dropped from heaven or something, but this has been an over evolutionary process. So everything in polity is an evolutionary process. If you understand that this evolutionary process, then you can or evolutionary theories, then you can analyze any subject or any theory or any concept that you are currently reading about. So it examines relationship between state and society. So what does this grassroots level institutions does? They'll have a better connection with the citizens, right? So with these grassroots level institutions, citizens' opinions, citizens' views on certain policies can be understood, and what are the citizen problems which can which could be used by this center and the state in rectifying their policies, or in help making them come up with new policies which can be targeting the the discriminatory in the lower, I mean, the grassroots level societies. So this now there's been a third tier of government that has been introduced, which is called local self-government. Now, what is this local government? Panchayats in villages and municipalities in urban areas. So it is known as panchayat system in villages and the municipalities in urban areas like cities. Okay, this has direct control of state governments, but the elections to these are not held regularly and no funds. So, as the three-tier system of government was analyzed after the independence, but this three-tier system was not functioning as betterly as it was expected to be functioning. Why? Because there was lack of funds and there's no authority to look into how these funds are devolved. Or it was rather a burden on state governments to look into their state machinery and also look into this local self-governments or municipalities functions and powers. So, in a way, and also elections were not held as regularly as it was meant to be, and there was also no funds to be devolved. See, if there's no proper mechanism to devolve the funds to the grassroots level institutions, which state government would like to devolve their funds? No state government would like to do, right? Because of course they are originally at deficit only. Why would they want to further divide their funds? No, they wouldn't do that. So, because of no regular funds and no regular elections were held, these were at a problem. So, this main original agenda that they were formed for was not up to the mark. So, what happens now? What happens is this Panchayat Raj institutions, this two amendments were made to the constitutional, two constitutional amendments been made to the Constitution of India. What are these constitution? Sorry, what are these amendments? 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act 1992. So this refers to 73rd Act refers to rural local governments known as Panchayat Raj institutions, and 74th is known as urban governments known as nagar palikas or municipal bodies. So these were introduced in 1992, but they came into existence in 1993 because they were put to debate, discussions, passed in both the houses, then assented by the president. So obviously it's going to take little time. As it was introduced, I think in October, if I'm not wrong, but we'll correct. So please check it out if it was in October 1992 or not. Then 73rd and 74th the constitutional amendments, both are very important. Both are very important for the exam setter from both theoretical perspective and from both MCQs if you are writing competitive exams. So please be aware or please be quick in reading or give it a read after the class. So the Panchayat Raj institutions, they developed or they introduced this three-tier system. So furthermore, it was divided into three-tier system. So first one is Gram Panchayat, Mandal and Zilla Parishads. So this first, earlier the three-tier was union, state and local governments, right? Now this local government is further divided into three more tiers. So these three more tiers, what do we have? Gram Panchayat, Mandal Parishads and Zilla Parishads. Now next, features of local self-government. So this is we are talking about 73rd one third point we are talking about 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act to rural local governments. Next, we are talking about 74th Constitutional Amendment Acts to municipal bodies, especially in the urban areas. Now, it formed what? It formed various types of bodies: municipal corporation, municipalities, nagar panchayats, notified areas, town areas. It divided basically the city, the urban outland. The urban land was basically divided into all these things. So these are called the notified areas, town committees, cantonment boards, township, port trust, specialized areas agencies. So for what? For better functioning or for better devolution of power and for better development. Okay. For that purpose, this both Panchayat Raj institutions, sorry, the panchayats, local governments and municipal corporations, municipal the municipalities were divided into all such bodies. Now let us understand the features of local government. So what do they do actually? They possess the jurisdiction within a definite territory. So in a way they act like a state within a state, but they are not the state, but they possess their jurisdiction only within the territory that they have been established on. Then they are governed by, this is an important one, they are governed by elected representatives of local people who are accountable to the people. So the elections have been not indirect elections. So they are governed by the elected representatives. So they are not nominated or something by the state government, but rather they were elected by the people of that territory. So in a way, these elected representatives are responsible for the functioning, for the proper functioning of their panchayat. So they are answerable to the panchayat people. Okay, they are answerable to the people who elected them. Then they possesses autonomy in their internal administration. So they need not abide by, they can establish their own authority in the administration, but rather they are not above the state, or they are not something away of the state government or something, but they exist between the state, they exist below the state, but they would rather look into the issues for themselves, okay, rather than calling for the state's attention, or rather than calling for the state's funds or machinery to look into in help understanding or help achieving what they wanted to be. So this they created by the law. They are not something of government stature, or they are not something by the parliamentary act or something. They are legit created by the law. So they exist. They do not collapse if one government collapse, but just that they have a time period of election, just like how office of prime ministers got 5 years termship, or chief minister got 5 years termship. The panchayat raj institutions also got 5 year termship. Now what happens here? They have their own budget and finances. So this features of local self-government forms a better understanding, or they form for a basis of MCQ questions. So you have to read point wise, then you can answer if future any MCQ or any competitive exams that you are attending. So what happens here? They create their own budget and finances, because that is the main purpose that this third tier was introduced. Earlier, the budget was made by the state legislature. That was not happening because of no authority to look into the devolution of funds. There are no funds properly available. But here, as it was created, so especially to tackle this issue, the budget and the finances, they have their own budget and they have to look into their own finances, and they have autonomy to manage their own affairs. Okay, they have their authority, they have their jurisdiction in that territory to get their work done, or to look into any issue within their jurisdiction. Okay, they can look into the things within their jurisdiction. Now, importance of local institutions is create and promote political consciousness among the people. So the first and the foremost important thing of the local self-government, I mean, the main basis or the main agenda that they were introduced is to make people, make citizens be promoting their political consciousness among the people, or in order to make them participate. See, participation in political institutions, or making people aware of their, or citizens increase citizens participation in governance is the main agenda of the democratic institutions. Then only the democracy prevails, right? So if citizens do not question, or if citizens do not raise their voice, or citizens do not say what they are supposed to say, then how do we know that the democracy prevails? No, right? So this importance of local government institutions is mainly to promote political consciousness among the people and civic responsibilities of them, and efficiency of administration in local state. So the main agenda of this local governments is to promote political consciousness among people, first one, then induce civic responsibilities, and third one, to improve the efficiency of administration at local, at the state, and at center. So see, suppose if the local self governments are working, functioning properly, then only the state government also would work in a way properly, right? I mean, half. Let us think like this. Because if the state's grassroots levels are working properly and there's no proper burden on the state to look into or devolve its machinery to looking into the local self governments, then in a way it can make even the center also work properly. So this makes both the state, center, and the local self government responsible to the citizens, because their participation is the main agenda to help address the issues at the grassroots levels. Next one is evaluation. So this is not something new. If someone says that this local self-government have come into existence only through the 73rd or 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, then they are at fault. Uh, the Rigvedic period or the Rigvedic text, the ancient institutions of governance and politics or the economy, they have these institutions called Sabha and Samiti. So in a way, they are trying to say is this local self-government is not something that have come up after the colonial administration or after the 73rd or 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, but rather this has been native to India. So this could be seen through the word Sabha and Samiti, where the local issues were addressed, okay, with the local lords at the grassroots levels, and those issues were taken to the king. So then their problem could be resolved. So king, we cannot say king in Rigvedic period. We could say the tribal chief. Okay, people used to live in primitive societies, right? So we can say tribal chief or tribal chiefdom, or or the head of that clan. So the Sabha and Samiti, through Sabha and Samiti, we can say that the local self-government has been existing in India since the Rigvedic age. Now Kautilya in his book Ardhashastra, he mentions this village, he mentions certain things, how the functioning of the state should be and how the king shall address himself or should analyze the society and the devolve the funds, etc., for the proper functioning of a state, like rather having a stronger state. So in his book Ardhashastra, I hope you all know Kautilya, who's Kautilya and what is his book. So his famous book is Ardhashastra. So in that, he says this, he gives this village or grama as the basic unit of administration. So from this, you can understand that this village concept or the administrative concept at the grassroots level has also been addressed through Mauryan age. So through Kautilya's thing. And another important point, Lord Ripon is regarded as father of local self-government. Please remember, even if you're writing an answer, please start either with this or like add it in between the points. This is must. So how can we say that he is considered as the father of local self-government? Because during his period, the Bengal Municipalities Act of 1884, Bengal Local Government Act of 1885, Government Act of 1919. This is Bengal Local Rural Autonomy Act of 1919 and Government of India Act 1919. 1919 is what act? You all know other than other name of Government of India Act 1919?
Rowlatt Act.
Montego-Chelmsford Act of 1919. 1909 is Marlamento. So please don't get confused. So here the provinces were divided and the administration was made by not bicameral, but the it was addressed as transferred, or the executive, judiciary, the executive and the legislature was looked into, and the power was devolved, and the provinces were at autonomy to consider certain things which are reserved for them. So this that's why Lord Ripon is considered as a father of local self government. Then another important person that has to be remembered when we are talking about local panchayats or local self-government is Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi's Gram Swaraj. Why did we talk about, sorry, why do we have to talk about Mahatma Gandhi when there's a notion of local self-government comes into picture? Because he is the one who called for decentralization of authority. His theory of concentric circles, concentric circles with one center going off, like concentric circles means, example, if you throw a stone in a water, like the water and how the ripples are formed, like the concentric circles, but not that like that, but with same center, the circle will be extending. So I hope this diagram would be easy, like this, like this, like this, it goes out. So he called for this concentric circles, and the village administration shall be the highest authority, so that the excuse me, so that the locals voices could be heard, and they can help understand, or they can help establish the better industries. So although he called for this khadi and village industries and handicrafts industries, this Mahatma Gandhi called for this decentralization. So because in a hierarchical, he said no to this hierarchical triangle, where the locals or the problems at the grassroots level would not be heard. Mostly the powers will be devolving from the up to down. So the people in the up who are in the sitting at the cone of the triangle would not understand what's actually going on here. So, but rather, if we follow a concentric circles, the power will be on a equal, what is this line? What horizontal line, and no circle would try to overpower or trying to depower the other circles. So the power will be like this. The concentric circles will not take over the others' powers or the others' institutions. So that's why Mahatma Gandhi called for this Gram Swaraj, and he said this decentralization of authority shall be considered. Then this decentralization and Mahatma Gandhi's Gram Swaraj can be seen in DPSPs. So DPSPs are directive principles of state policies, where the Gandhian principles were heard, like the village panchayats shall be considered, or the local self-government, sorry, the handloom industries or the khadi industries shall be developed, or so they should go for the deindustrialization of things. So Kautilya, this decentralization is not new to India. This slide is trying to say that decentralization is not nothing new to India, but this can be rather seen in Rigvedic period, Kautilya's book of Arthashastra, and Lord Ripon, who is considered as the father of local self-government, through his acts, and Mahatma Gandhi's through Gram Swaraj, where he called for decentralization, and his principles are mentioned in Directive Principles of State Policy. Now, next, evolution. So this 73rd and 72nd, 74th Act did not come up all of a sudden. We are talking a period after the independence. So the Community Development Program was introduced in 1952. So this is basically started with what? First 5-year plan. So this basically started with first 5-year plan, where their main agenda is to transform the landscape, the socio-economic and political landscape of rural India. So this has been a part, the policy is a part of so policy is a part of the first 5-year plans done by the Planning Commission. Now, what happens here? Employment facilities. To provide employment facilities, opportunities to set up industries, improve their agricultural production. So the main agenda or the main principle of community development program is to help facilitate employment generation and set up industries, industrialization, and improve agricultural production, because agriculture was the backbone economy of India. So in order to have this better produce, or people have their better standard of living, the main things were targeted through this community development program. Then Surendra Kumar De, is it breaking? Okay. Then uh, Surendra Kumar De a man who pioneered and steered community development program. So he's also considered as the father of this community development program. So he is considered as an Surendra Kumar Dey is considered as a father of this CDP. Then the other scheme was also in the lieu of this CDP was introduced in National Extension Services Program. See, basically understand why these things failed is lack of funds. So if any option comes like, or if you are writing any essay, uh, if they ask you to analyze like the failure for things, you have to first write the lack of funds, lack of revenues led for the failure of these things. So lack of funds is the main answer. The National Extension Services Program 1953. This is basically to promote agricultural development and rural welfare. So now what happens? These both are more or less on a similar scale, right? CDP and NESS. Okay, NES and CDP are both more or less on a similar notion, and also time period is also less than an year. So when compared to CDP, NES was less intensive in character. So due to lack of funds or something, these two were this NE National Extension Service scheme was rather taken into this community development program. So the over a period during I think 1980s or 1970s, I'm not sure, but please go through it. So 1980s or 1970s,
Your
this
voice is
CDP
breaking, ma'am.
uh, undertook this NES, okay, NES policies or NES developed areas into themselves. So to bring about a social change and awakening in the countryside. Countryside means rural areas. So this is basically to bring up a social change and awakening. Then, what are the committees? This is the most important one. So, what are the committees that looked into this local self-governments? Balwant Rai Committee, Balwant Rai Gopal Mehta Committee, but you know it by Balwant Rai Committee. So, Balwant Rai Committee 1957, it proposed for three structure of panchayat. So, three structure of panchayat we have already read, Gram, Mandal and Zilla Parishad. So, it proposed for three structure and provision of adequate financial resources. So without adequate resources, so without adequate financial resources, then what is the purpose of establishing it, right? So this committee is specially called for this resources shall be devolved properly through the state to this panchayat systems. Then recommendations, these recommendations were accepted by Government of India, and the Rajasthan was the first state to change this or change the policies or the recommendations accepted by this central government. So it adopted for three-tier structure and the provision of financial resources. And the second state was Andhra Pradesh to accept this provisions of Balwant Rai Mehta Committee's recommendations, 1957. The next committees are Ashok Mehta, Dantwala, Hanmant Rao, G.V.K. Rao, L.M. Singhvi, then okay, I missed that. Yeah, LM Singhvi and one second, yeah, Tungon Committee. So LM Singhvi and Tungon Committee. Now let us understand what are all these committees. So what are all these committees? This is like these committees. There are a possibility of a long answer. Explain the various recommendations of the committees and or analysis of Panchayat Raj system or how better they could be achieved. So then you can write this committee's recommendations saying this could have been proposed a little betterly, or this could have been accepted little earlier by the government or so, or the next possibility is them coming in the as an MCQ questions. So you have to read it, remember. Then Ashok Mehta committee. So Ashok Mehta committee called for this two-tier system. They said like we have to shift from this three-tier system of Balwant Rai Mehta's and go to two-tier system of Ashok Mehta committee, which was not accepted. So this was cut down. And here the Ashok Mehta committee calls for political parties should stand for elections at all levels. like at the center level, at the state level, and also the panchayat level. Political parties shall participate in for elections. And he says Zilla Parishad to be the highest level of control and authority, and Mandal Parishad to be the lowest level of rural administration, because he called for two-tier system. So don't get confused. Ashok Mehta called for two-tier system and Balwant Rai Mehta called for three-tier system. So three-tier system में what all we can have: Gram Panchayat, Mandal Parishad and Zilla Parishad. But in two-tier system, they removed this notion of Gram Panchayat or Gram Sabhas to be forming. He called for the Zilla Parishad and Mandal Parishad, where Mandal shall be the lowest level in rural administration and Zilla Parishad to be the highest level of control of authority. Then Dantewala Committee in 1978, he called for block level planning should be the cornerstone of rural development in India. So rather than looking for the grassroots level or anything, he called for this blocks level planning in order to have a better development at the rural or the grassroots levels. So this is by Dantwala Committee. Then he also recommended for the establishment of regional rural banks, RRBs. RRBs for what? RRBs to provide credit to the rural poor. So this he also recommended for the RRBs. Then Hanmant Rao Committee in 1984 advocated for separate district planning bodies either under district collector or a minister. So they called for this district level planning committee shall be established other than this, what do we call, other than the executives at this the rural levels, other than the other functionaries. So this block, sorry, this separate district planning bodies has to be established so that this can be put under the district magistrate or the collector or even a minister to look for the better development of this the ground grassroots level institutions. Then GVK Rao Committee in 1985, he recommended for elevating Zilla Parishad as a key body. So as a key body for what? Zilla Parishad shall be given the powers. It shall be provided more autonomy. It has to be on a basis or the next to the state authorities or a state administration. Then district development commissioner shall be appointed as a chief executive officer, CEO. So district development commissioner shall be, the post shall be put forward and he shall be appointed as a CEO, and where Zilla Parishad assigning specific roles at district and the lower level. So first Zilla Parishad shall be made as a key body or the key functioning body in the grassroots level institutions, and also district development commissioner as should be, the post should be put up where he's responsible. See here, Hanmantrao committee says that district collector shall be looking into these issues or minister shall be looking into issues. But GVK Rao committee recommended for another separate body where district development commissioner shall be put up, and that person should be looking into the functioning or the roles that has to be devolved in the district and the lower levels of the state. Then LM Singhvi in 1986, he proposed constitutional recognition and protection and preservation of Panchayat Raj institutions. So till then, the act was not in picture or they were not amended. They were just running by as an executive or the recommendations of Balwant Rai Mehta committees. So he said that there has to be a proposed constitutional recognition and protection. Otherwise, this will not be addressed as seriously as it was meant to be addressed. So adding a new chapter to the constitution, he called for adding a new chapter because he asked for this proposed constitutional recognition protection. Means in a way you can amend the constitution and add a new chapter where this chapter will be holding the features of the laws pertaining to 73rd and 74th Amendment Acts, the laws pertaining to panchayat system and the municipal bodies functionary acts. So the Gram Sabha shall be the embodiment of direct democracy Then judicial tribunals were recommended to address the controversies. So judicial tribunals should be established which will look into the issues at the grassroots levels, and the Gram Sabha shall be an important key point, important administrative body rather than the other committees, earlier committees, which said that the Zilla Parishad or the Zilla Parishad shall be given the highest authority. Here, L.M. Singhvi called for the Gram Sabha shall be the embodiment of direct democracy. In a way, he is calling for this direct elections, the representatives to be elected by the people, and also he called for this the he called for Gram Sabha should be given the important functions to look into. Then Thungan Committee in 1988, he urged for the strengthening and the constitutional validation of Panchayat Raj system. So this called for an extension of L.M. Singhvi Committee where he said the proposed constitutional recognition shall be given and for the preservation of Panchayat Raj institution. So Thungan Committee can be seen as an extension of it. Then Gadgil Committee. So what happens in Gadgil Committee 1989? His Panchayat Raj institution should have fixed 5-year term, and members of the panchayats at all 3 levels should be directly elected. Then socio-economic development plans should rest with panchayat authorities. Taxations and duties shall be administered, collected, and managed by the Panchayat Raj entities. State Finance Commission shall be established to oversee fund distribution to the Panchayat Raj system. So these are all proposals by the Gadgil Committee. Then the Constitution of 73rd Amendment Act 1992, important act. So what are the articles? 243, 243A to 243O, total of 16 articles. See this 243, 243A to 243O. This number is also important from FCQ perspective, so please to remember. And it added the new schedule through so through new schedule, 11th schedule, this act was added, and the power and responsibilities are mentioned under 243G of panchayats. Then act defines many terms: panchayat, gram sabha, district under article 243. Then see, also could be a question: did the Constitutional Amendment Act define what is Gram Sabha, what is Panchayat, or what is the district? Then yes, answer is yes, they have defined what are all these terms. Then Act constitutes Gram Sabha at village level. Gram Sabha shall work as a legislative body at the village level. Then 3-tier system, they went by Balwant Rai Mehta's proposals. 3-tier system of Panchayat at village, intermediate, block level, and district level. So organization of Panchayat, Article 243C, state legislature to make laws for composition of Panchayat. So now what happens? Who conducts elections to Panchayat system, Panchayat institutions? We have already read in earlier lectures. Who conducts elections to the Panchayat system? Who conduct elections to Panchayat institutions? Okay, you're speaking. I cannot hear. Someone can type. Yeah, State Election Commission. Good. So State Election Commission conducts elections to the panchayat system. So the organization shall be under state legislature to make laws for the composition. Now, direct election to panchayat for their territorial constituency. And also this has to be overlooked by the state election commission, and right to vote to the chairperson of panchayat and other members, whether directly elected or not. So this right to vote concept, a right to vote power shall be given to the chairperson of the panchayat, sarpanch, or the members who are directly elected or not. Then reservation of seats. Reservation of seats comes as a social discrimination that has been existing in the state, has been existing in the country since a long period. So in order to represent everybody, this reservation of seat has been introduced in panchayat system for SCs, STs in proportionate to their population. So state reservation is done on the basis of population. Again, an important point. So depending on the population in the region or the population in the state, the number of seats will be devolved based on or reserved based on the SC/ST's population. Then another important one, what happens? 1/3 of seats reservation for the women in the panchayat. And during duration of panchayat is 5 years, election shall be conducted within the 6 months Suppose the duration is 5 years, right? And if the panchayat collapses in between midway, then elections shall be conducted again within the 6 months of the dissolution. And Act prescribes the eligibility and disqualification of candidates who can contest the election in the panchayat. 21 years of age, citizen of India, they can participate in the panchayat Raj elections. Then Act provides 11th schedule, which deals with powers and responsibilities of the Panchayat Raj institutions. Then it provides various sources of income to the panchayat. I mean, what all incomes can be addressed through duties, through taxes. Okay, that in that way the revenue could be generated. Then it provides for the creation of state finance commission to review the financial position of panchayat. See, these are all mentioned in the act. So these are all mentioned in the act. The act also says that this shall be established no matter what, and it provides many provisions of audit and accounts of panchayat, because if it's a government institutions and the revenue generating body, then audit and accounts shall be underlooked into. Then state election commission to conduct elections. And so what about union territories? Union territories follow the directions of President of India in constituting or abolishing panchayats and union territories. So again, an important MCQ. What happens in union territories? They have to follow the directions of President of India in in conducting elections or abolishing any panchayats in union territories. Then exemptions to the state having administrative council in scheduled areas. So the union recognized or the president recognized scheduled areas or scheduled councils shall have this exemption of having the state administrative council in them. Then these provisions which were in force before the act, courts have no jurisdiction. Okay, courts cannot interfere to examine the validity of the law and election matters of panchayat. What happens to the elections to the state and the union? How can president declare a person to be a non-member or their elections to be invalid? Yeah. So what happens is election commission will decide uh, the matters. Election commission is an authority. Election commission of India is an authority to look into the disqualification of the candidates. So once they understand or think that this election, the candidate's election is rigged, is not as per the democratic values, then they can tell the president, inform the president. So then president can act according to the situation and declare that person's elections as invalid. So, but here the state panchayat elections, they cannot go to the court and court cannot interfere and they cannot examine on the validity of that law. So, election matters of the panchayat court have no jurisdiction. The next Nagarpalika Constitutional Amendment Act, Constitution 74th Amendment Act 1992. So what are its articles? So earlier 16 articles, here 18 articles. So Article 243P to 243Z and 12 schedule is also added. So now we have 12 schedules. So what are 10, 11, 12 schedules? Does anybody know? 10, 11, 12 schedules. First nine will leave it. So 10, 11, 12 are hot topics of paper setters and they are recent. Recent means, yeah, we can call them recent ones. So 10th one is anti-defection law. Okay, 11th one is panchayat institutions and 12th one deals with municipal councils, municipalities. Okay, so Article 12 schedule articles deal with definitions of the certain terms of the act. This provided three types of municipalities: Nagar Panchayat, Municipal Council and Municipal Corporation based on the population of the members, and state legislature to make a legislation of ward committees in municipalities. This is also an important point. So the state has the authority to make legislation of the ward committees in the municipalities. Important MCQ. Then Act provides reservation of some seats in urban local bodies, same for SC/ST. Then one third of reservation for women. This prescribes the uniform term of 5 years, same with Panchayat institution. Then provides qualifications, also disqualification to conduct in municipal elections. Then 12th schedule, which consists of 18 subjects on which municipalities shall have authority. These are like more deeper understanding. But if seen for the MCQ perspective, you have to understand, okay, whose authority is where, like whose jurisdiction under they come into, or what are their jurisdictional functions can be understood. Then state legislature may vary by law, endorse the municipalities with powers and authority to enable them to function as institutions of self-government. So this through this act, they can help maintain their authority over uh, in having a proper functioning of municipal councils. So the act also provides for the establishment of finance commission to review the position of municipalities and necessary recommendations to the governor. So now governor comes into picture here. What happens? The act establishes finance commission to review the position of municipalities, state finance commission basically, and forward necessary recommendations to the state governor, because governor only establishes finance commissions in the state, right? And also is an authority to look into, or authority who receives the recommendations or the file of finance commission. Then Article 243Z, the state legislature can make rules and regulations to maintain the accounts by municipalities and auditing such accounts. So Article 243Z is again an important article where state legislature comes into picture, where it can make rules and regulations for the maintenance or for proper functioning of these municipalities, and also help audit their accounts. Then state election commission conducts election to municipalities. I think our state's election sorry, elections to municipalities, municipal bodies have been delayed, if I'm not wrong. So I've been delayed. I think it's a news 3 days ago, and union territories have to follow the directions of President of India in respect to again municipalities and UTs. So I think the state elections to municipal bodies are delayed. So if they are delayed, then they are in news, right? So please do read extra about this 74th Amendment Act. Then state legislature shall create a committee for district planning in each district to consolidate plan activities. So state's authority is rather addressed here. And state legislature can also make provisions for the composition of Metropolitan Planning Committee, then continuation of existing laws, court not to interfere, then power and authorities and responsibilities of municipalities. So same thing as panchayat institutions, where the existing laws shall be continued, and courts also does not have any authority to interfere in the elections, or they don't have their jurisdiction or cannot question on the laws that have been made in this body or by this body. Then powers, authorities, and responsibilities of municipalities. Now, what do municipalities do? What are its powers? So their powers include urban planning, town planning, then regulation of land use and construction of buildings. How, if regulation of land use or construction of buildings have been properly done, then Hyderabad wouldn't have been flooded for so long, because construction of houses along the Moosi side, or the illegal land grabbing in the, especially the lake places. So that's the responsibility of municipal bodies or the municipality offices to look into. Then planning for economic and social development to construct roads and bridges. Then look into public health, sanitation, then fire services, urban forestry, protection of environment, urban forestry, plant trees, to look after old trees, and to to promote ecological aspects, then safeguard the interest of weaker sections, including the handicapped and the mentally retarded, then slum improvement for the cattle ponds, prevention of cruelty to animals, vital statistics, including registration. So municipal bodies looks into the certificates of birth and death. You all shall know. So that's also an important MCQ. Then ways to strengthen the local governments. So these are the possible, oh wait, got no time. So these are the possible ways to strengthen the local governments. So what happens here is essential. Why do we need to strengthen the local government? They're essential for the success of democracy, which is in a way is the dreams of Mahatma Gandhi. Because Mahatma Gandhi proposed for the decentralization. We have read already during the Gram Swaraj in the first slides, and to give equal importance to all sections of the people. Then weaker sections of the society should be given special attention. This is discriminatory equality. Then taxes shall be collected from every taxpayer because it's the main source of income. Then conduct meetings of Gram Sabha because Gram Sabha is the highest authority to look into the proper functioning. Then also during the Forest Rights Act, even the Gram Sabha has the authority to decide or declare the areas also, right? So the voter in the village must be enlightened regarding the importance of Gram Sabha. Then improve financial condition. So improve financial conditions of Lok Sabha because improve financial conditions of local government institutions because local government institutions have to take up the finances and help for the funding. So that is why they have to be called for. Then union and state government must work seriously towards poverty elevation. Then non-governmental organizations are supposed to promote. See, local self-government or local governments, the NGOs also are requested to take part because they are at the grassroots levels and NGOs will reach the citizens at better position and they can help understand the citizens about their rights. So NGOs are also supposed to promote social consciousness, political awareness among the people, and eradication of social evils like casteism, communalism, and the gender biases or discrimination based on language, sex, race, etc. Then citizen cooperation will only help strengthen. So first and foremost, unless there is citizen cooperation, however better the institutions are, the proper development through political and social sense cannot be developed because citizens cooperation helps the governance to work smoothly or go smoothly. So this is all for today. Decentralization Act, 73rd, 74th Constitutional Amendment Acts. Huh. So important questions from this thing would be help analyze the evolution of the Panchayat Raj institutions in India. So then you have to write from the Rigvedic age, write about details about Rigveda, Sabha Samiti, then write details on Arthashastra, Kautilya's village administration structure, then write about Lord Ripon's policies. Then next, write on Gandhi's decentralization of the concentric circles. Okay, then you have to write about the committees. Then come to this Constitutional Amendment Act. Committees means Balwant Rai, Ashok Mehta, L.M. Singhvi, Tungon, then Hanmant Rao. Then what all are there? One more thing I'm missing, Gadgil. So all these committees you have to write, at least in brief, then all the recommendations done by them. So that's how the evolution has happened. Then I think the possible question is that only they'll ask you whether how better the citizen participation can be improved at the grassroots level. Suppose they ask this question, then you can again write the recommendations and how the citizen and the role of NGOs and the role of Gram Sabha, role of the chief officer, what do we call them? Sarpanch. Okay, all those, how can they help improve the citizens participation at the grassroots level could be addressed. And also the policies, better understanding of policies of the union and the center, sorry, union and the state, which can be better understood or help made understood at the grassroots levels, which can be used for the betterment of India's development, social development. So that is a possible second question. And if MCQs, every slide is an important MCQ slide. So MCQs are also this actually this topic is very favorite of examiners all over the world. Sorry, all over India. So both theoretical and uh, MCQ perspective. So please give it a read. Sit down, give it time. It will take time to adjust, but yeah, don't skip this thing. Telangana. Okay. Telangana. I think we've got no time. But I think almost I have explained the day before yesterday's class, no? We just had this little TJSC and how the role of KCR and Telugu Desam Party, that only those two things we couldn't discuss, but rest all we've done. So I hope you're all fine with this lesson today, and this is the last class, right?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
I cannot hear. Yeah. So I have shared the slides or the PDF to, yeah, I've shared the PDF to Padma. You can ask her. Otherwise, you can ask me also. Yes. See you. See you again. Yeah, yeah. See you. All the best. Good luck.